Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in to our fall 2020 book launch, Morgan James book launch. And we do a red carpet event where we every season launch out our authors who are releasing their books within that season. And COVID-19 hit during our normal preparation, so we shifted. We're doing the in-house version of our Morgan James red carpet event for fall 2020. And today we are super excited to have with us Stephen Bryen. Stephen is the author of Security for Holy Places, How to Build Security Plan for Your Church, Synagogue, Mosque, or Temple. So welcome, Stephen. Thank you for taking the time to talk with us today.
Oh, it's a pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. And your book, I think, is a very important one, especially in today's climate. And the first question, I just want to kind of jump into it here. Why are religious places under attack in the U.S. and everywhere else?
Well, this is the great question because, what we're seeing right now are a large number of attacks in the United States, in the UK, in France, and elsewhere in the world. It's become a pandemic of attacks. That's the numbers. The numbers are very high. In the UK, a new report says that 59% of the people that they checked with said that they were a target of at least one attack against their holy place. That's a lot. I mean, that's more than, it's almost, almost 2/3, as the Senate would say. It's getting there. It's bad. Now, the types of attacks have shifted a bit because of the COVID-19 on the one hand, and because of the protests and other things going on in the United States, but not also in the UK on the other. But it's not the only cause. COVID-19 meant a lot of holy places are closed. Buildings are shut down. There's nobody there. So they're prime targets for vandalism, for arson, and there's a lot of arson. I keep a Facebook page devoted to attacks on holy places. It's you can find it at facebook.com/sec holy places, SEC holy places, all one word. And there you'll see every day numerous attacks. There's not one day that goes by without someone burning, just desecrating, bombing, it goes on and on. Shootings, a lot's happening. And it's some of these attacks are ideological. Some are just crime, but some of them are ideological, from the right and the left, from the Antifa on the one side to the white supremacists on the other, who are attacking holy places. So we have a real big problem. And unfortunately, not so many churches, synagogues, mosques, temples, etc., are really prepared to deal with it. And that's an issue. That's a serious issue.
Wow. And so you mentioned COVID and churches being closed down. And it's interesting because my next question was, with COVID being seeing the effects that we're seeing where many churches are out of session and people aren't attending churches, are these places more at risk? And according to what you just said, there may be even a higher risk.
They're at higher risk for certain kinds of attacks. There are less people being shot or shot at because there are less people to shoot at. But there's a lot of vandalism, an awful lot. And there's been a lot of ideological crime, which I mentioned, burglaries, hate messages, in some cases, especially against Catholic Church, destruction of statues, breaking them and writing graffiti on them, that kind of thing, smashing windows. All these sorts of things have been going on, and at a very high rate,
Now, so you've written a book that outlines some of the problems and talks about some of the fixes, security for holy places, and that's why we're here today, because that book is out and available for everyone to start getting their hands on. Why do we need a guide if we can hire security experts to fix our problems?
Well, let me ask the question backwards. How do you know the security expert's an expert?
Good question.
You don't. I mean, the truth is that there are security experts who are really good, and there's some that aren't so really good. They just want to get paid. Um, and there's some that think they're really good, but they aren't. I mean, there are all these various flavors. The point is that you need to be informed. You need to understand what your security needs are. So when you bring in the expert, and I really encourage you to use experts. I mean, you should not, this is not a do-it-yourself solutions book. This book is deliberately written to make you informed and smart about your problems, but to get the experts to, where do you put the cameras? Where do you set the lighting? All these things. Where are the guards supposed to be? How are the guards supposed to be hired? What are your liabilities and responsibilities? All these are questions you need to understand before you bring in outsiders to help you. And that's why I wrote the book, because I serve on my own synagogue's security committee, and the amount of ignorance is kind of overwhelming. And that's normal. I mean, that you have to expect that. And then there's always some person in the congregation that says, I know all this, I can solve it. And that's even worse. So it's not that you don't have talented people in your congregations. I'm sure you do. But the point here is that you want to be able to understand the needs exactly right. And what I cover is just about everything in the book. It's a very basic, this is the book. It's a very basic book that gives you concrete instructions. Do this, don't do that. Consider this, don't consider that. I tried to make it a kind of foolproof guide. Mm-hmm. So that when you look around the outside of your building, you understand your needs. You look around the inside of your building, you can find what your needs are. When you consider contracts and relationships with security advisors of different kinds or with hiring guards, you need to understand what the rules of the road are. So those are the things I went after in the book. And I also, by the way, tell you how to get money. Because right now, churches, synagogues and whatnot are not doing well on money because they've been closed. And even before that, they weren't doing so well. So the idea is to also let you know about programs in the US, in the UK, in Australia, and elsewhere, Canada, where you can apply for grants. So you can get resources to help you deal with these problems. It's very important to have the capability to make the improvements you need to do to be secure. And you can't, I don't believe anyone can pray if they're in fear of their life. I think, prayer is something you want to do in peace and contemplation. And if your family's there and you're there, it's kind of frightening to think they're exposed to danger. So one of the reasons behind the book really was to try to provide practical help to people that need that help.
And I think today, as you've said so many times just during this conversation, we need that help now. And we're seeing it across the board. You're right. People should be comfortable when they're in experiencing their faith and praying and worshiping. They should have that opportunity to go in confidently and strongly and commit themselves to that and not have to concern themselves with what's happening on the outside of that building or that arena or that area. So, if you're right now, if you are a leader in a organization or a synagogue, a church, a mosque, you need to start thinking about that. And I hope that you'll hear some words today that will inspire you to start looking at what you're doing for your people and your buildings and your organizations a little bit different. And the information in the book not only tells you why it's important, but how it's important. And Stephen, I love that last piece that you put in about even sharing how you can financially support that, because this is an important task and we want everyone to be safe and to feel like they can go into their worship with confidence and security. And Stephen, your book certainly is going a long way to helping that. How can people, if they're watching this video, they can find the book literally everywhere. You can find it at your favorite bookstore. You can find it online on your favorite online bookstore. But how can people, if they read the book, or even if they just watch this video and they say, we need help, how can they get connected with you?
Well, I have a webpage called Security for Holy Places, all one word, .org, O-R-G. Securityforholyplaces.org. No capitals, just write it down, hit it on your machine, and you'll get right to it. And there's a contact page, and you can send me an email right from that contact page, and I'll be happy to respond. I will do my best. I will not give security advice to anyone. Okay, let me just be clear, because I don't think I should. If you're not actually there and you can't really assess the situation, no one should give security advice per se. But I can give guidance as to what you should look for and how you should proceed. And I'm happy to do it. And the book, by the way, goes very far in that direction.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Stephen, for taking the time to talk with us today and introduce the book out to a world that really needs it. And we are honored to have you part of the Morgan James family. Thank you for putting the book together and sharing your experience.
It's my honor. Thank you so much for supporting the book and for having, faith in the fact that the book is out there to help people. I really appreciate it. Thanks so much.
Oh, thank you. And thank you guys for watching as well. And if you want to get a copy of Security for Holy Places, grab your copy now. Even if you are not in a leadership role in your church, your organization, your mosque, your synagogue, you can still grab this book, read it, be a concerned citizen, and share this with your leadership and share the importance of why we need to protect our places of worship. And thank you for watching this edition of our Morgan James Fall 2020 book launch with Stephen Bryen. Thank you, Stephen. Have a wonderful day.
You too. Bye-bye.